Well, this is one we've talked about in the past that I find interesting, but there is a big update on the Ben Affleck Batman situation in terms of whether or not he's coming back. And there's some good news for those of you who like him. I guess some bad news for those who didn't like him, but maybe it's good news because there has been a lot of different creative directions anyways. Before we hop into this, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy this video. My channel's been in a very, very odd spot. Lately, YouTube's been doing like a sub purge type thing again, but they also chose around now to change the algorithmic stuff and hit a point where my channel just doesn't grow. So in order to get out of that, I need your guys' help, and I appreciate it very, very much. Now, here's the thing with Ben Affleck. We've talked about this in the past. It was, I guess, assumed that he was kind of done, even though he had shown interest in returning to the role in different ways, and then shown no interest to returning to the role in different ways. And then we had the fact that nobody wanted to talk about it. And WB doesn't really talk about these behind-the-scenes things at all. It's another area that they fall short in, I guess, compared to Marvel, is that Marvel is able to hype up all of these things. They have their secrets, but generally what ends up happening with Marvel is that they find a way to hype actor inclusion or spin it within the form of the online media in a way that generates more interest in their movies. DC and WB with the DCEU has kind of been the opposite of that. We saw an issue, a long time ago when Zack Snyder was borderline kicked out of the production of Justice League. I just want to say that's what I think it was. I've had very conflicting feelings on the Snyderverse. Like, it was at least a direction. I didn't like everything, but it seemed like it was more put together and more on track to be really good than what we got. And WB has done this kind of stuff before where they treat people very oddly. They will push them in certain directions, like Snyder, where they pushed him to do Justice League too early, honestly. And then when they weren't happy with something like BVS, even though that's the direction they pushed, they kicked him out. They kind of, in my opinion, used his daughter's tragedy because his daughter passed away, and they kind of used that to shuffle him out the door and not bring him back. Now, a lot of same stuff has kind of gone on with actors that work at WB. A la Johnny Depp is a great example of that, with the Fantastic Beasts storylines and, I guess, movie series. I mean, it's barely a series now. They're very disjointed as well. But what I'm getting at with this is that WB has had a very jaded and not great history of finding out how to work with people, bringing them back, treating them well, especially now that there's a changing of the guard with the WB Discovery merger thing. Nobody really knew what direction they were going to go with all of this, but the other day, Jason Momoa actually tweeted, not tweeted, I'm way too used to Twitter. He posted on Instagram showing off Ben Affleck. Now, Ben is just as handsome a man as he was years ago, but he essentially posted, "Reunited Bruce and Arthur. Love you and miss you, Ben. WB Studio Tours just explored the backlot all right. Busted on set. All great things coming. Aquaman 2. All my aloha, Jay." So, obviously, Jason Momoa is a character in and of himself. And one of the things that's fun about this is that they just show them, there's a schedule in the background with a lot of stuff going on, but I don't really think that's that important. They show them in the trailer hanging out, having a good time, laughing, and they show a group that's on the studio backlot tour that clearly saw Ben Affleck and took a picture of it, which was pretty funny. Now, one of the things that I find interesting about this is kind of what it could mean for the future of the DC EU in terms of Batman himself. Now, we've seen obviously that there is the expansion off into the Batman and off into Joker, where we have these alternate timelines, these different realities in the multiverse of movies, and they're kind of almost trying to tie it all together, like, hey, look, if it's happening on screen, it appears to be happening in some other multiverse, and it's all in the big huge multiverse together, that kind of stuff. They're leaving the doors open for potential crossovers, cameos, any of that kind of stuff in the future without establishing it, which I think is interesting and fun. But, no one was really sure what was going to happen with Affleck himself, because we knew that he was coming back at least one time for The Flash. The Flash has been, though, an absolute disaster in terms of what would happen for it because of everything going on with Ezra Miller. There's accusation after accusation after accusation, and while that doesn't make them all true, we have seen just straight up really, really damning photo and video evidence of things Ezra Miller is doing or has done, with things like allegedly picking fights and choking people and getting arrested with actual police documents and court documentation, that kind of stuff, like having an actual record. And this has kind of put Ben in a weird position, because this is one of those things where Ben, and this is all alleged because we don't ever get a transparent look behind the screens, thanks to WB really, was allegedly very unhappy with what happened with BVS and Justice League. In terms of BVS, he was convinced, the way that it was written, that this was going to be a big, huge deal and everyone was going to love it. And what ended up happening was a lot of critics didn't like the movie. I still enjoy BVS. I really do. It has its flaws, but I really did like it. And then going into Justice League, he was still kind of under the promise of you get to work with Snyder. Snyder very clearly treated Ben with respect, and they got along well. But, of course, then what happened? WB they pushed Snyder out. And who did they bring in? Joss, the disrespect king Whedon. What's interesting about Joss is that he has just a horrible track record of getting along with people. This is aside from all the allegations of bad behavior. He doesn't get along well with people. He really pushes any female actor he's working with, according to a lot of reports, into very uncomfortable sexual situations and scenes. There were the allegations of him threatening people on the set of Buffy, which were corroborated by multiple actors. There's all this different stuff going on. And then plus, of course, the whole male feminist thing, which then it kind of came out that it looked like he was cheating on his wife behind the scenes with a lot of people. He's certainly not the kind of guy that it seems like many people would want to work with. It's worth noting that he even went on to have a quote about how he wouldn't take notes from anybody. He wouldn't even, take advice from Robert Downey Jr. and all kinds of other stuff. Just the guy's kind of a douche, in my opinion. And when you had Ben working with him and all these other people working with him, they pretty much all left mad. You had Gal Gadot had a very bad experience, which she reported and said that WB took care of. Ray Fisher is still talking about his. And while I personally, not being there, kind of think that Joss Whedon just seems like an all-around asshole, not as much specifically racist, but just a dick to everyone. Ray Fisher did say that there was a lot of racism going on there too. And honestly, originally I was kind of thinking, well, he just seems like a prick to everybody. He's mean to everybody, no matter who they are. He was allegedly mean to Ben. He was mean to Gal. He was mean to Ray. It kind of seems like his douchiness knows no racial borders. But as more stuff has come out about Joss, it's a lot harder to not just believe the negative idea that he was racist, because he's been a dick, according to all this other stuff. And that's not a far leap, but who knows? So when you get into this and you have Ben's bad luck with that, and then bad luck with BVS, and then his bad luck with The Flash now, where Ezra is dragging that whole ship down with all of the bad behavior and insanity, I wasn't really sure what to think. I always wanted Affleck to come back. I really think that he has some of the best action scenes out of any Batman ever. There is only one Batman scene, it's in The Batman near the end, that I think is comparable or close to the awesome factor of the warehouse scene that we get to see in BVS. So I'm glad to see him come back for that reason. And also, personally, I liked the idea of a Batman who lost his way and then refound hope. We didn't really see that very well in the theatrical cut, but we did see it very well shown off in the Snyder cut of Justice League, and I'm hoping that that's the kind of Batman they can bring back with Ben. I saved this for the very end because I didn't want this to be a big whole political statement type putting my foot down thing. I do want to say I'm very conflicted on all of this, though, not because I don't want to see Ben, but because of everything going on around Amber Heard. Now, I know some people think, well, it doesn't really matter, but to me, it does. And I don't care how anyone else spends their money but me, for the most part. Unless you're hurting somebody with your money, human trafficking or something crazy, spend it however you want. It's not my money. But for me, with my money, after everything WB has done with Johnny Depp, with the whole throwing him under the bus immediately, replacing him with Mads Mikkelsen in Fantastic Beasts, and being so petty that they even did so even though they were still under legal obligation to give him his paycheck for the movie. They still just cut him out. After everything they did with Snyder, with Zack Snyder, and pushing him out of this universe and treating people poorly, and after everything they did, with all the stuff around Ray Fisher and all the stuff around Ben Affleck and Gal and Henry Cavill, the handling of Henry Cavill's Superman. Personally, for me, while I am still interested in this universe, and I know a lot of you are not, according to the responses to our last video on it, rebooting or not, while I am still interested in this universe, if they can kind of go back to what they were trying to do, I don't really think I want to pay to see this movie, as long as Amber is in it. I just feel like, to me, for my own money, me personally, it sends the wrong message from me. I feel kind of like a hypocrite if I'm out here talking about how much I hate what they did and hate how they've acted and kind of what they turned into. But then I'm right there in line, day one, throwing my money at the movie like, please, just because Ben's back, I need to see this. I collect the DCEU steelbooks. I especially love when they were doing the Jim Lee ones, which they, for some reason, don't really do anymore. But I was really collecting all of those and kind of trying to get the full timeline, despite some disjointedness. And I'm kind of at the point where if she is going to be in the movie, if Amber is going to be in the movie still, which we don't know, but if she is going to be in Aquaman 2, I just don't think I want to pay to see this movie. That's just kind of me. I wanted to throw this in here at the end so that anybody who didn't care about this could have left earlier. But I just don't feel right doing it. I don't care who does. I'm sure this movie will make tons of money with or without me. But if she's not there, I would love to be there day one watching and seeing Ben come back. If not, honestly, I guess I could way after the fact when it doesn't really matter on HBO Max stats anymore. I suppose I could watch it there. Otherwise, I suppose I could just buy a steelbook or a Blu-ray from a reseller, after it's out and the WB's not getting that money from me personally. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you interested in this return? Are you not? Does it do anything for you? Doesn't it? And what are your thoughts, I guess, on the whole end statement? Are you going to watch this movie in theaters? Are you not going to? If Amber's involved, does that not matter to you? I don't really judge people based on what they do with their money, like I said, but to me, it just frustrates me, and it's been just a constant nuisance to me, that whole situation, to the point where I don't feel like giving them money for it. So let me know what you think in your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. I appreciate you very much. Like I said before, our channel's been in a very odd place. With growth, it's very much stalled out. So I need you guys to kind of help us come back from that. And thank you very much to some of our patrons. I got to say a huge thank you to some of our biggest patron supporters today. Iceman, Top Gun, The Dark Nightmare, and Seth. Thank you all very much for helping keep the lights on this channel. And please, of course, be sure to check out in the description down below everything. We have a secondary channel, Degenerate Plays, where we hang out and play through games. My friends and I do, my wife and I do. And also, Jill's wonderful Etsy shop, Enchanted Glamor, is in the description down below. Every purchase goes to help support this channel, so we appreciate you. Have a fantastic day, and as always, everyone, stay shui.